Hello again from Metro Manila, the Philippines, Southeastern Asia. Today I'm going to film a new series of videos about the Canadian federal parliamentary elections. If I remember correctly, it was in January or February of this year that I filmed such a series, although I did not label the videos, entitle them in French. Anyway, Canada, as we know, became a self-governing confederation or dominion on July the 1st, 1867, and in honor of that day, the Canada Day is still being celebrated every year on July the 1st. One of the instrumental politicians in persuading the British government, Parliament, and Queen Victoria to grant this self-government to Canada was John Alexander Macdonald, usually known as John A. Macdonald. He led the Conservatives and Liberal Conservatives into this election. We have to remember that the election was spread out over 6 weeks or so, from August the 7th to September the 20th, 1867. All women were excluded from voting, and also those men who did not have either property worth at least a certain sum of dollars, or who did not pay taxes at least amounting to a certain number of dollars. So there was certainly not equal suffrage, nor was there or universal suffrage, nor was there a secret ballot yet in these elections. The first Canadian House of Commons had 181 members, and the Conservatives and Liberal Conservatives won 100 seats. Some 93,000 Canadian men who had the right to vote and were Canadian citizens voted for them. The Liberal Party, whose unofficial leader was newspaper publisher George Brown, who himself was defeated in his riding or electoral district of Ontario South, received about 61,000 votes and 22.7% of the popular vote. And then Joseph Howe, who was the leader of the Anti-Confederation Party or movement, received about 21,000 votes and 18 seats, amounting to 7.9% of the vote. Of the 100 Conservatives, 29 were actually Liberal Conservatives. One independent also was elected. One independent Liberal was, no independents were elected, or independent Liberals. There happened to be one independent candidate and one independent Liberal candidate. The political affiliations of 141 candidates were unknown, and there were still candidates who were elected by acclamation, in other words, with no official opponents. In Ontario, a total of 15 elected candidates were elected by acclamation, 3 Conservatives, 3 Liberal Conservatives, and 9 Liberals. In Quebec, there were a total of 23 such candidates, of whom 14 were Conservatives, 5 Liberal Conservatives, and 4 Liberals. In New Brunswick, 4 acclaimed candidates, 1 of whom was a Conservative and 3 were Liberals. And in Nova Scotia, 4 such candidates, all of whom were anti-Confederates. The election in Kamouraska, Quebec, was cancelled due to rioting at the polling places or voting booths, and no member was elected for the riding until a by-election in 1869.